It's been an entire year of absolutely fantastic fights, and we're here to select our favorite moments of the year. You know, like our little award show we call it the Beefy Boys Prime Cuts. It's actually the second annual Beefy Boys Prime Cuts. Pretty proud of that.
We can keep it pushing. This is next one of my favorite categories, which I love how you always put this category or this nominees together. And I think next we should do event of the year if you're
Yeah,
down.
perfect. Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
literally right here in front of me.
perfect. We're both feeling that third bet. It's so funny because if you watch the breakdown, you know we're always nitpicking card placement. So this is like the one
Right,
time
it's
of
a
the
big deal
year.
for us.
This is
And
the
and
one
we
time
have
of year
10. And we have 10, so it's like a real like prelims main card break.
yeah, man, we're both viewed it the exact same way. I love that. We didn't even collab on that. But yeah, event of the year. Another. Like, I don't think we're the only ones doing event of the year, but not everybody does an event of the year, and it's one of my favorite ways to view it because that's what this is as a fan. It's a whole Saturday essentially, which is an event, which is,
Right, yeah, yeah.
and
From bottom to
certain ones.
top.
Yeah, and we talk about on the breakdown all the time. If you watch the show, I mean, we watch the early prelims, the prelims. We break down. We watch every single fight. Like there was some Twitter thing going around
Yeah, you
that.
posted that wild stat about the
Yeah,
amount
it's
of
like
hours.
I mean, 900 hours, or I don't know. Maybe that's an exaggeration. It's some crazy 150 hours, or some crazy amount of time we spend watching these fights. So whenever I was talking event of the year, it's not just headline of the year or main event of the year. I mean, I was looking at this comprehensive card. I even went and dug into the prelims to help me pick my winner on this.
Wow, impressive. Okay. If you want to introduce them, and then
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
and then I can lead with where I landed.
yeah. And we'll just go in chronological order. We got nominated as UFC 259, headlined by Jan Blachowicz, Izzy Adesanya, kind of the champ crossover weight class. That was a big deal. Also, Nunez versus Megan Anderson. You know, that was kind of like a cow to the slaughter. And then, but Jan Sterling won. Also anticlimactic. A lot of big names. This was a paper card, but it just kind of was
Right.
like anticlimactic. That's why it didn't score higher for me.
I mean, let's talk about them as we go through them, but then tell your
Okay,
winner at the very end. We'll just save the winners for the end. We'll just talk
sounds
about
good.
each one.
All right, so then on 259, it also had Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober. Not that
Right.
great of a fight, but it also kind of marked Islam's kind of like arrival into like the spotlight. So you can kind of form a narrative around that. And if there's anything you want to like add to this, by all means, pause me at any moment.
Does have a submission or a nomination for submission of the year,
Yep, yep.
and honestly, Nunez on Megan Anderson, that submission for her part in it was pretty impressive as well. So
Good points. Good points. Santos versus Rakic was on this, which you know that like that was a fight that once again I didn't enjoy watching,
no,
but
I didn't enjoy that fight.
it ages well. It looks good on paper. It did a lot to clarify for the division. So I mean, it was a meaningful fight. Cruz versus Kenny, probably my second favorite fight on this whole card.
That was the prelim main event, correct?
It was, and that was
Yeah,
like the moment we all knew that like Cruz wasn't done, and he has another
right.
run in him, and he looks fantastic. And then also Song Yudong beat Kyler Phillips, I believe, on that card,
That
and
is
that's
correct.
and we were real high on Kyler Phillips coming into that one, and that's whenever I kind of started riding the Song Yudong train, which I'm still riding pretty hard. So. I mean, like I said, but that's digging a little deep. So that's that card. That was used UFC 259. Then obviously next we have UFC 260. Miocic and Ngannou. I mean, speaks for itself. I mean, cemented Ngannou's like legacy and like everybody put respect on his name after that. I mean, that was up there probably. I think that got nominated for knockout of the year as well. And if not, it's
Yeah,
honorable mention if it didn't make the
yeah.
cut. Then you got Woodley Luque, which actually was a pretty good fight. Like I know like we're programmed to hear Woodley's name and immediately start hitting the snooze button, but that
That
fight was
fight
pretty
was
solid.
fun. That
Yeah,
fight
that
was
was a good. It
atomic.
was
It was
fight of the night.
crazy.
It was
Right.
fight of the night on the night with Ngannou and Miocic, and then also O'Malley versus Almeida, which you know obviously you know helped build the stardom of O'Malley and was. I mean, he had good card placement. That was the order of the fights in order.
Right.
It was the fight before the co-main, so that was like you know a big. But you know, obviously not that competitive of a fight, but still a big moment
A
to look
good
back
KO
on.
for him too. A good KO for him.
Highlight, I mean, outstanding highlight. I mean, both of those. So two outstanding highlights. I mean, so but just not maybe some of the depth that I want out of my event of the year. Next, we got 261, Usman versus Masvidal, another knockout of the year contender. I think we got two knockout of the year contenders on this card, if I do believe, or if not, definitely some honorable mentions. Because we got Usman Masvidal, we got Rose Lee 1. Is that Rose Lee 1 on that card, or was that Rose Lee 2? That was
This would
Lee
be
1.
Rose Whaley 1, correct?
Yep.
Which is
And
a
then
fire fight. You had Anthony Smith and Jimmy Crute, which was a big
yep.
fight. You had Uriah Hall, Chris Weidman, big fight at the time. It was 9 versus 11.
Ended in just tragedy, right?
Yeah, right.
That's the one where
Remarkable.
Weidman's leg. I mean, that
Correct.
stands out for all the wrong reasons.
That's the Rose. I mean, crazy head kick. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's Usman landing a detonated right hand
yeah.
to Masvidal. That's so two of the knockout of the year contenders right here in this card. And main and co-main
versus Andrade, which we all said. I mean, granted, it's not saying much, but Andrade offered about as much competition as anybody has to Shevchenko, and then you had Shevchenko still getting that high level win. And
I scored the first 10-8 in that fight, and then she finished her with crucifix elbows. I mean, this was a triple title fight card, and all three of the belt fights were fire.
Yes. Now, next we have UFC 266, which, not to give too much away, I really thought as far as quality and quantity boxes being checked, I thought was the card that checked both of those. You had Volk versus Ortega, which is also in our fight of the year nomination. And I have some other nominations coming out of that one, foreshadowing alert. Shevchenko versus Murphy, not competitive, but Shevchenko is greatness. That was Diaz-Lawler. I mean, more so headlines than actual fun to watch in real time, but still important. Blades Rosenstruik, a meaningful fight, especially that proves the depth of this card, how low on the card that fight was. Andrade Calvillo, another fight, dope on paper, not so much to actually watch. Mariah's Davishvili, I mean, that was one of the most exciting fights of the entire
that's
year.
up for round of the year. Easy. Round one, easy.
And maybe a couple other categories as well.
Chin, I might have Davishvili up there in it.
Seriously, yeah. And then Dan Hooker versus Haqparast. That's whenever Hooker looked like a wrestler, and we were all like, what the fuck was that? And then Dawkins Abdurakhimov. That was the win that made Dawkins. I mean, that got him a main event. That got
big KO.
Big KO. So I mean,
you also had Tyler Santos and Roxanne Modafferi. I mean, ranked fighters for women at least.
For sure, and I think we both came out of that super high on Tyler Santos. So yeah, UFC 266 is going to score pretty high on my ranking. Was a big fan of that one. And then the last nominee, last but not least, you had Usman Covington, UFC 268, which was Usman Covington 2, all the storylines, all the competitiveness, everything you possibly want from a main event. Rose Lee 2, competitive fight, controversial.
Super great fight though, man.
Edgar versus Vera, pretty good fight. I mean, pretty damn good. And then Gaethje versus Chandler, up there for fight of the year. I mean, who didn't love that? And then Quinta Green, pretty decent fight. So yeah, I mean, I'll let you go first. I think I tipped my hand as to who I gave it to, but how'd you see event of the year?
Man, so when I actually went back and went through them all as like full cards, I actually thought it was the Usman Masvidal 2 UFC 261 just because it had the two craziest main events. To me that card was so, I don't know, meaningful. Now I went back and forth with this one in 66.
Yep. And
I don't know if you picked 66, but if you did, I'm totally cool with that too. I mean, I'm back and forth on them. I just thought like the Rose Lee fight was so great, right? For the knockout, and then for Masvidal to just get detonated by an Usman right cross was so sick and like
I mean, if you like finishes, if you like knockouts, which who doesn't, right? I mean, it's 261 like kind of all day, right? I mean, if you like just like highlight reel, I mean, fireworks, home runs, like if you're the kind of guy that likes 70-yard touchdown passes, you know what I'm saying? Then that was for you. I went 266. I do think it was the deepest card. Like how many names I had to read off. And I was like trying to stop writing names because I was like running out of room. And they were like, no, this has to be mentioned on the card. The star power, the storylines. And then I rewatched Volkanovski Ortega for a different
What a great
category.
fight. You forget how close Ortega was at the end of some of those rounds.
Bro, that fight, like that fight is everything. Like that fight,
So great.
amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing. I rewatched it this morning actually, so it's fresh on the mind. I get it, it's recency bias. That fight, oh my god, dude! Like it'll make you. I mean, it just reminds you like why we do the podcast, why we're such big fans. Like
I
that
mean, I
fight
think it's
was
up there
like
for fight of the
MMA.
year, right?
It is. It for sure is up there. So I go 266. You go 261. I think you know what. Honestly, I may actually disagree. I may put 268 over 261 just because of how much I'm in love with both Gagey Chandler and Usman Covington too. But I think
True.
I'm learning something about myself. I like the uber competitive, like nail biter, go the distance wars. And I mean, but there's no argument if you're talking flashy, if you're talking finish, if you're talking knockouts. I have no argument with your pick, really. I think I just learned something about myself analyzing this.
I thought maybe I should have put 269 up as far as a sixth nomination here. I mean, that is Poirier Oliveira, that is Nunes Pena, it is O'Malley Paiva, Garbrandt Carr France, Neil Ponzinibbio, Pedro Munoz, Dominic Cruz, Emmett Ige.
Yeah, I'm not
Sakai
mad
Tuivasa, Blanchfield Maverick. I mean, I think I probably messed up leaving 269 out.
That could have replaced 60 probably.
Yeah, I would agree.
Could have replaced so good honorable mention. And all award shows have honorable mentions. That's our honorable mention right there. Valid point. I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, no, I think we hammered that one pretty damn good. I mean, it was a lot of fun. It's probably one of the most subjective categories there is, as we were
right, because it's how do you enjoy your viewing experience, you know?
Yes, exactly. And I like taking years off my life with fucking anxiety, close nail biters.